Options traders making a big bet on Chinese internet names. Pete Najarian following the unusual activity as always, and today he's in Minneapolis for us. Pete?
Hey, good to see you, Scott. I got KWEB for you, Scott, and it's not a name that comes up a lot for us. I think it's come up a couple of different times here and there, but basically Chinese internet. You want to have a position where you've got exposure to Tencent and Alibaba and JD and some of those kind of names, Baidu. This is the place to be, and that actually encompasses probably over 30% of what that index exposure is. So what I like to see is it was a $37 index back at the start of the year, got up to 47 at the beginning of May, then it eased back to where it is right now, and now all of a sudden today we're seeing the July 45 calls being bought. About 3,000 of those were bought very early in the day. Right out of the gate, stock was trading, or the index was trading about 40.40 at the time. They paid 50 cents for these options. That's a really great, in my opinion, risk reward. Gives you a little bit of time, call it a month and a half. I'll stay in these for about a month. I bought these after I saw this. I love what I'm seeing here. If you want to have Chinese exposure right now, this is a good way to do it without absolutely being in one stock-specific name. So that's what I like about that. Hey, back
why would you necessarily want to have? Why would you
yeah.
necessarily want to have Chinese exposure right now?
Well, because if something were to happen, now let's look back. Now we're talking about this gives you exposure for about 7 weeks, right? So if something positive starts to work, and by the way, there have been days recently where we've been sitting on that desk where our markets are down significantly, and then you look over at the FXI or any of the other Chinese areas, and you'll see a little bit of movement to the upside, maybe even into the green versus what we're doing. So will there be some sort of a move at some point in time? Is there news that's going to be able to do anything with trade talks that might push these up, Scott? For 50 cents, this gives you exposure to the upside over the next 7 weeks. So that's what I like about what we're seeing there.
All right. And you have an update for us as well?
I do have an update for you. On Thursday last week, we talked about AMD. We talked about the June 14th, rather, the 29 strike calls. Those are trading for like 85 cents this last week. They bought them again on Friday. The stock wasn't doing a whole lot. This morning, stock pushed all the way up and didn't quite get to 30, but 29.60. Those options didn't quite double. They got very close. I think you've got to be very disciplined in this market. Now, obviously, as this market's been very volatile today, we've pushed back down. But use that discipline. You've got to keep an eye on things. Options double, you want to take half of that off, Scott. The reason I say that is then you've reduced that exposure to the money you put in is now taken out, and now you can play it from there. So you want to be disciplined at all time. We call it DDA all the time. Discipline dictates action. That's what was happening today when this was actually moving higher. Now you've actually seen this pullback. So I'm still holding on to half of my position, but we'll see if we can break up into that 30s later on in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Appreciate the time today, Pete. We'll see you back here.